Thanks for tuning in to the Loser Kid Pinball Podcast. We are on episode 167. I am Josh Roop. With me, my co-captain,
Scott Larson.
And Scott, we got a really cool episode today. I'm excited to talk about some homebrew, some of these awesome projects that are winning Twippies and doing amazing things. They're, in my opinion, might be doing some better than some of the manufacturers out there. But we'll get to that in a second. If you want those new games, where are you getting your game from, Scott?
Contact Zach and Nicole at Flipping Out Pinball. The Godzilla topper for the 70th edition for my friend just came. So they hooked me up with that. If you want pinball, if you want new, if you want used, and if you want accessories, they can hook you up with anything. Zach and Nicole, Flipping Out Pinball. They've always been good to us. They'll be good to you.
Exactly. We have two people that are doing amazing things in the pinball world right now. And I don't even know if I can do the justice with titles right now, but we got Brian Soares, who owns Game Room Pinball, if I understand correctly, and is doing insane things with custom pinball, making homebrews that look like games that came out of a manufacturing place. And we got Reby Hardy, the legend, the WWE wrestler. She's also done modeling, and she has her own Hardy Pinball. So I want to thank both of you for coming on and to talk about the Hangover Trilogy. This game looks amazing. You guys have knocked it out of the park. It's insane. So
thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much.
So tell me where this came from. Tell me like why the Hangover, and what made you decide to take on this project?
That's all Brian, because I would never choose this title.
This is like that's usually what happens.
Antithesis of anything that I would ever choose. I get asked all the time, like, oh my God, can you do this title next? Can you do this theme next? I'm like, I wish I could choose them, honestly, but it's all Brian that chooses them, and I just kind of go with it. So let's hear it.
Yeah, so I'll try to keep the story short, but so I have a good friend, Robert Mooney, who has a big pinball collection. I've made about, I don't know, I guess this was a third game for him over the years. We were talking after last year's Pintastic show. I was telling him how like we had an insane line for Happy Gilmore, the whole show. Everybody wanted to play it. And, you know, Reby and I kind of hang around the room. We listen to the stories and people, saying the lines and kind of singing along with the music. And it's just a good time. So anyways, I was talking with Robert and I said, I think really what the key is for these games is it's got to really, cross a lot of demographics, just things people get into, and so we started talking movies and, movies his family liked, my family liked, and, said something about The Hangover being really funny. And he's like, oh yeah, my family likes that. And, one thing led to another. I think 3 days later, I really started digging in on The Hangover.
And then it was just a done deal at that point, right?
Yeah, for me, a lot of times it ends up being, it's like, okay, I could do The Hangover and, do I want to do, each movie or do all three? In this case, I thought, like I know my kids are older, they're college age now. We kind of laugh at, there's a lot of lines from all three movies. So I thought to get the best game, it would be to use all three.
Now,
definitely,
this seems to be definitely the ultimate dude pinball machine. Okay, right? I mean, if you're looking at demographics, I can totally see. Yeah, yeah. So Reby, I'm curious, what would you? And obviously, Brian chose the theme, but you're part of it too. So, what is your connection to the theme, and maybe which other themes would speak more to you?
I really have no connection to the movie, but negative experiences with it. Honestly, it's really terrible. But I got into it, and it's funny because everything that we've done, I haven't previously seen what the theme was about. Like I hadn't seen Ferris Bueller, I hadn't seen Happy Gilmore, so I kind of watched these movies on like 3x speed over and over and over while I'm like thinking of playfield designs and stuff, and it just comes to me that way. But I think what's cool about the theme for me is that as a woman, I feel like I could get away with being maybe a little cheekier, maybe a little bit more, for lack of a better word, objectifying to some of the sexy girls in the film. I feel like a guy would get a lot of flack for that. And I was able to kind of put some things in like the stripper flipper. Like, I feel like if a guy in 2025 was like, let's put a naked girl on a flipper and call it a stripper flipper, like he'd probably get a lot of backlash for that. But it was fun doing the more cheeky, sexy, girly things. I had a lot of fun with that. Maybe not so much like the drug and alcohol references for me, but the whole game is really funny, and it's the whole thing is very tongue in cheek, and like you said, it's a very dude bro game, and I think that is like intersecting with a lot of the major demographic of pinball. So it was really cool to just be in the room with it when it was at Pintastic, and the line of people and hearing everybody's responses. Sometimes I'll just like melt into the wall and like, be in a corner just to kind of eavesdrop on what people are saying and how they're enjoying it. And everyone was very much in with the vibe of it.
Well, you are taking a little bit of a page out of really the Elvira handbook, where, there are certain things that if a guy put in an Elvira pinball machine, they may get a side eye. But since Elvira's putting it out, then, she's in on the joke. And, if you look at it from mass appeal, people will give you more grace if you want to be a little more risque than if a dude does it.
I think for sure. So I really pushed the boundaries on it with that one. So I'm glad that I did. I had a lot of fun with that.
So tell me, what is both of your specific roles when you go into making a pinball machine and designing it and whatnot?
Kind of choose the game, the title, and then I start looking through all the different machines that we could possibly use. And then, once I come up with a machine, I look at like the rule set, try to kind of write the story, to all these games. A lot of times when I'm making regular rethemes of like old ballys and stuff, there's only one mode. Well, when you're like retheming a Mustang, there's 8 modes. When you're retheming like Family Guy, I think there's 5. Basically, there's 6 modes in that, plus multiple multi-balls. So you kind of have to put the whole story together, and then start thinking through all that type of thing, and then it's taking the game apart, well, kind of re-engineering all the code, all the audio, doing the animations, like she said, all the hard stuff. She gets the easy stuff.
So when you're doing the
quote unquote easy. Hold up, let me stop you right there. If it was easy, you'd see a lot more of these games floating around. Notice how much of the homebrew looks like a piece of plank wood with some marker on it. All right, it ain't easy.
Yeah. So when you're retheming these, do you use the original boards, or do you use like a fast board or something like that?
Everything's original.
Awesome. So you're like rewriting chips and stuff like that for these games.
Well, let me see how it's. I'll try to simplify it, but it's no. So
tell me like I'm 5.
Yeah.
Well, exactly. Yeah. I said she drive her crazy when I did her, her husband's game. Basically, like when I'm using a Stern Sam, there's some software that allows you to look at the code. And I think, when it initially came out, I think the intent, if the way I understood it, was that, someone had AC/DC or Metallica and they wanted to change the songs. And, people could upload new music. But I think I've kind of taken it to the extreme where, maybe somebody changes a couple pictures, a couple texts, but I'll painstakingly go through the entire thing and create an Excel spreadsheet with 1,000 lines of whatever, and it'll say, all right, at request 1, this is what it says, this is how long it is, and figure out basically where all the text goes, where all the audio goes, and then on top of that you have to do all the animation. It might be 2,000 screens of animation. So I think this is why you don't really see anybody do. I mean, I've done four of these Stern games now, and I haven't seen anybody else do any. And I think the reason is it's a pain in the ass. like it's one of those things. Like from the engine, I'm an engineer. I've been a mechanical engineer for 30 years, and I like the challenge of trying to figure things out. So for me, this whole thing is just a giant engineering project for me, really. And then I got, I do some graphic art for my other games, but she's much better than me. And it just, we formed a partnership when we worked on the first game, Matt Hardy's Expedition to Gold. And, we just kind of hit it off. And so it's kind of where we're at now.
No. So Reby, after Brian does his part, what are you bringing? Like, what's your part?
So pretty much what goes where artwork wise. he'll kind of like lay out like what targets will be what, and then it's up to me to put any corresponding arrows and lanes and artwork and toys and stuff. Any extra, like what should the plunger be? Like what's a cute little gimmick? Like we have the actual camera from the movie that was gutted with like a little LCD that's showing pictures from the movie. So just random things like that. There was a project where I did like the rotating LED fan as a topper years and years ago, and I wish I'd have patented it because someone else came and patented it like it was their idea, like pinball fan LED, and I'm like, wow, that could have been me. But just just random things that I always thought, hey, this would be cool to have in a game that have never been in there, and find a way to make it work.
Yeah, and so just to add, sorry, just to cut you off, but just to add on, so that's I think my favorite part about her is that she completely thinks outside the box. Like in the engineering field, there's like idea guys, and that's what I think of Reby as. She'll come up with some crazy stuff sometimes, and I always tell everybody. Usually, I tell her, no, I can't do that, and then a couple of days later, I figure it out. But because she just thinks outside the box, she doesn't necessarily, and this, I mean this in a good way. She might not think about how to actually do it, but she'll come up with the idea, and then I try to figure out how to incorporate it, into the game and make it work. That's what I like best about her.
So what I'm hearing is she's the mad genius and you're her Igor to make it happen, right?
I like that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Something like that.
So who's making the toys and stuff too? Because like the Mr. Chow toy is really cool. Like, is this a custom sculpt? Like, how do you guys make the toys for these?
So it's a combination of things. I mean, in that case, that was actually, when we started on the project, sometimes I'll go on eBay or whatever, or Amazon, I'll do search on Google. I'll try to find toys and I'll buy up a whole bunch of different things. I might not use them, but I want them for inspiration. And I didn't know for the longest time. I knew I wanted Chow to be there, and I wasn't sure how I was going to do it. But that was actually a bobblehead. They made a small run, I guess, of Hangover bobbleheads, and Mr. Chow was one of them. And so I basically, bought a few of them, cut it up on a, with a Dremel, popped the head off. So it's basically, that was just a bobblehead when it started, but I kind of MacGyvered it to work for what we're doing with it. A lot of the other tools, so say like the other toys in that game, so there's like a finger, supposed to be Teddy's finger. I have like a Hollywood prop master that made that. He makes a lot of those types of things, so I bought that from him. I wanted the Stanford University ring. I try to make these things all as authentic as possible. So watching the movie, Teddy, like the year he was graduating from Stanford, it had a he's in the medical field, so I had a real college class ring made and put that on the finger. She kind of told you about the camera idea. We find the exact camera that they used in the movie, like the model by Canon. I find a broken one one of them was broken, one of them I guess was new or working on eBay. Just buy it, take the thing apart, and then figure out how to mount a LCD screen inside and run video to it. So it's a series of things. Just sometimes I'll design things on CAD. I could buy models, and I have a prototype shop locally that makes a lot of things, airbrushes them for me. So multitude of different places I guess I get the toys made.
That's an insane amount of detail. Like just talking about the ring and the finger, that is so cool. Like you guys are taking it to the next level. It's so cool.
Yeah, thanks.
So tell me about selecting the game, because that seems to be one of the more challenging things, because one, you have to go for game availability. You also have to go with, does the layout fit with your theme? And also, do you mainly stick with like DMD era Sterns? Would you consider doing other games too?
So I won't get into all the details of how I fully select the game. I mean, because it gets kind of complicated. I'll say I have a spreadsheet that I list every Stern DMD era game. I have a bunch of criteria that I fill out on this spreadsheet, and the ones that I think will work best for me is what I end up moving ahead with. The thing that I think a lot of people get confused about, and this happens all the time with when I used to make like a lot of sports themed games out of EMs, like I don't really care what the donor game started life as. Like I used to use Sky Jump a lot from the old Gottlieb EMs. Once I got it down, and it just becomes a blank game. So it's a new canvas. Reby comes in and she can put whatever we want for the artwork. Like this one with say Family Guy, and making it into Hangover. Well, I know there's 5 modes, so I kind of pick like, all right, what's important to me? So it's like one, I call it Vegas Baby, and they're going to Las Vegas. There's I kind of I wanted to keep the fight with the chicken, but I modified the animation. So I do have, instead of a chicken versus Peter, it's there's 2 chickens. And in Hangover 3, I think you find out that Chow was had some rooster. We called them rooster birds, and he was cockfighting, and he kills one of the black chickens at the end. His name's Wallace. He said, "We had a lot of good fights, Wallace." So, anyways, I made Wallace the other chicken that the white chicken fights against. I had him going to Bangkok, and that one I kind of chose because I love the music when they're on the boat. It's a song by I think it's by Love Train by Wolf Mother or something. It's kind of catchy. I don't know, so I like that. But I basically I have to fit the entire whatever the layout is and however many modes there are. I just kind of get creative with that type of thing.
I want to rewind just a couple of seconds, maybe a couple
Sure.
minutes. So you said that you met when Reby contacted you to do the Hardy's Gold, the Run of Gold, right?
Oh,
Or
Expedition of Gold.
Edition of Gold.
Yep.
So tell me, Reby, how did you find Brian, and like where did you come up with this idea of making a pinball machine for your husband?
So I was on Pinside just looking for mods for my Data East Royal Rumble and was looking for some video thing. And I guess he had found me in there, and he reached out and was like, "Hey, I do custom games if you ever want a custom game." And I was like, "You know what? Actually, that's a great idea." And then pretty soon after we started working together, I kind of took over everything, and he was like, "Okay, just you do it then." So then I did all the design and stuff, and he, kind of like we're doing now, and it ended up working really well, and that turned into a partnership because we were like, "Hey, this actually turned out to be a pretty kick-ass thing. We make a good team." So it was really just like, sliding in the DMs on Pinside over here looking for video mods for a Royal Rumble pin.
That's awesome.
No,
And ever since you hear about people like they build a house together and they never want to talk to each other again. It's like you guys built a pinball machine together, and you're like, this is amazing.
4 houses.
Let's just keep this going. Yeah.
No, it's great. I think we're like such opposites that it balances out really well. Like he's like Mr. Studious engineer brain, and I'm like wild and crazy out there, and like it's a good balance of stuff. I think what's really cool, like going back to what he was saying about how he changes every mode and everything is so different and code by code. Like there has been so many people who've come up to the machines, even like serious pinheads, and they have to like second guess, like, wait, what is this? And that's always the coolest feeling when someone goes up to a game that we've done and they can't even, they have zero way of telling what the game was previously, like no idea what the donor game is, because it really is just that gutted, that like completely revamped, like every single centimeter of it is completely new and different. So I love that part of it.
I've got to ask though, because you're like a social media powerhouse. You've got your WWE, TNA wrestling stuff. You're doing so much on everywhere. How are you finding time to help make custom pinball machines?
Bro, so it's funny because it usually takes me like 6 months to a year. Honestly, every machine that we've done, it's gotten like progressively shorter in the amount of time that it takes me. But with this one, it's the fastest game or really like art project I feel like I've ever done in my life. I got the entire playfield done and translate in 2 weeks, like between travel, between kids, and I homeschool, and we were filming for TNA wrestling, and it was just like so like just concentrated marathon sessions of pinball design. And that was the fastest that I was ever able to do it. But usually it is kind of spaced out in between a few things. There's like certain things that need to be done first because they take a lot longer. Like we always start with the cabinet first, and then he kind of does whatever he has to do with that and then takes it all apart. And then we'll move on to the play field. But this was really just like jam packed in between brand deals and commercials and wrestling and putting people through tables in my living room and kids. And, it's been a whirlwind 2025 so far, for sure.
Sounds like, I will have to say, it sounds like you won at life, and right now you're just doing the side quests because you're like, I beat life, and I'm just.
This is definitely a random side quest. Yeah, that's what everybody says, because like the main focus of my social media isn't like gaming or pinball. So whenever I do post about this, like as my like day job, like my big girl job, people are like, "Wait, what?" Like that, like people think I'm making it up. It doesn't even make sense, but it's real. We fit in there.
Now, have you always been involved in interested in pinball? Or I'm just wondering because it's less common, I would say more common for dudes of middle age, like my demographic, that get really into pinball. So you're a little bit of an outlier. So what is your pinball story?
So my dad was a superintendent of our apartment building in New York, 17 floors, always busy. When people would die and have no next of kin, they would just leave the apartments abandoned. And a lot of times that would be like the furniture for our house. And he would like go and take whatever was left and put it in his shop in the basement or in our little apartment. And one of those things was a pinball machine. And it was really my only access to pinball because, I was like a little girl and we didn't really have money like that. So that's what sparked my interest in it at first. And I've always been a gamer and into arcades and stuff. So it really started though with my dad, somebody dying and my dad taking over their pinball machine.
What pinball machine was it?
It drives me crazy. I can't remember, and it kills me. I was so little. I remember it was yellow, and that's all I remember about it. And I wish that I remembered because it's such a good story. But I'm like, I don't remember.
Do you remember if it was an
old
EM?
electromechanical? It was old school. Yeah, old and yellow.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I do remember we explored someone's house that was, I don't know, it was vacant. I can't remember exactly what it was. But we sneaked into this house that was sold kind of vacant. And there was a pinball machine in there. And I don't know, I had to have been like 10 or something like that.
We have the same story.
Yeah. So this would have been like 1984, 85. And I truly have no idea what machine it was, but it seemed like it had like some space thing. But I know it wasn't an EM. So I still would love to figure out exactly what type of game it was. But it probably was like Space Shuttle or Space Station or something like that. Because I do remember wire forms, but that's about it.
Oh, man, that's so cool. You're the only other person I've heard that's ever said that.
Yeah. No,
like
but
come across a random machine when you're a little kid. Yeah.
Yeah, it was cool, but we couldn't play it because there was no power in the house and everything. But I just thought, what in the world? There's a pinball machine in someone's house? That's awesome.
Oh, yeah.
So Brian, in a recent interview I was reading with Kinesis that you guys talking about this, you say that you make about 10 games a year through your game room pinball. How long does it take? Are they all as extensive what you're doing here at Hangover, or is it more just general rethemes? Like, walk me through that.
Yeah, it's most of the time it's a retheme. I mean, it's pretty much always just a regular retheme of like an old Bally or Williams type game. For many years it was always the like the Gottlieb EMs. And early on it was mainly like sports themes. Being up in Boston area, there's a big following of the Red Sox, Celtics, Bruins, Patriots. So that everybody kind of knew me as the sports pinball guy for a long time. And I started doing a few of the early solid state games, and then the one for Reby's husband Matt. That was the first time I ever got involved in a Stern, and that was not the plan going in. And like when she says she took over. I tried to sell her, like a nice Eldorado modified, and then maybe a Cactus Jacks if she wanted something a little sexier. And she's like, no, it's got to be a Stern. I'm like, how the hell am I going to do a Stern? And then that's why the first one took. What would it take us? It wasn't quite 2 years. A little under maybe 20 months or something to do the first one because I was doing these other
Both
games and
figuring it out. Yeah.
trying to learn how to do it. And because the theming part is the same to me on every game. It doesn't matter. It's on the Stern style, DMD games. It's just, I don't want to say it's a nightmare, but it's kind of a nightmare. Especially if you have to re-engineer everything, come up with a story, and then it just takes hours and hours getting audio bites, creating animations, and in the last two, Happy Gilmore and now Family Guy, like I've handled all the animations myself. Where prior I kind of did it on hers, but I didn't know what I was doing, and I was using images, and I don't know. It came out pretty good, but I think the last two are the animations came out really good.
They're looking pretty awesome. And so,
yeah, thanks.
So when you're doing just a general retheme, how many hours versus when you're doing one of these?
I don't count. No, I know it sounds funny. That used to be the first question everyone used to, and I'd say 200 hours. I really, I don't know. It's kind of changed because I used to always do the graphic design on those games, but the majority of my customers are not pinball people. Like I deal with people honestly all over the world. Like last year I did 3 for the president of Indonesia, random. But and a lot, or it could be like Owens Corning I worked with, Pacifico Beer, and a lot of times with the corporate ones they have their own internal graphic design teams that they like to have like full control over that. So we'll enter an agreement, and then I work through that kind of stuff with their designers. So the design time, I can appreciate how long it takes her when she does the graphics because I know how long it used to take me, and hers are much more detailed than mine were. So I used to be a lot of the time. And then, I also used to do every bit of the modification and painting. And in order to get a much higher end product, there's a company I partner with locally that does a lot of prototyping, and these guys, like right now I'm working with the guys from I can't show you the design yet, but like the show on Netflix called Cobra Kai. I'm working with the creators of that show to do a couple games, and so like I have this local shop that the guys used to restore antique cars, so they do a beautiful job fixing the cabinet, priming, painting with automotive paint, we decal it, and heavy clear coat. So it's like a really high end looking, it's kind of like a piece of art at the end of the day. So I kind of outsource some of that stuff nowadays.
Can you tell us what the machine is? Like what the retheme is going to be?
Well, it's Cobra Kai.
Right, but what's the base game that you're?
Oh, the donor, Cactus Jacks. Yeah. Okay, that's a favorite of mine.
Okay,
I'll tell you why. The reason, I always liked the game. So even when I, prior to me going crazy on rethemes, it's always been kind of a goofy game, and that game got more action in our basement with all the kids and nephews and stuff that would come over. I like it because it's a simple game to play. It's got it's easy to get multi-ball. You got the 3 guys in the back that dance around. So I've used that for the Tampa Bay Lightning when they've won a Stanley Cup, St. Louis Blues when they won a Stanley Cup. Someone that what was it? The Cincinnati Reds. I've done a Goonies. It's just for me, it's a cool game. So I like that one. It's got the depth, so you can put toys in there versus like the Bally, the early Bally's and Williams that aren't as deep.
So another question is, so when Reby contacted you about doing a Matt Hardy one, there are 2 wrestle games. Like I love that you chose a Mustang because it feels a little bit out of the box. But why did you go that direction as opposed to WrestleMania or WWE.
I hate WrestleMania. That's
okay.
Yeah, no, well, that's what, like I said, I can't fully get into the I don't really want to get into all the details, but when I examine the software, I'll say it like that. There's certain games for me that meet all this criteria for me to be able to change the code and or edit the code. I don't know. I hope I don't offend any programmers. I forget what the correct terminology is, but there's got to be enough space left because when you add images to the animation screen, it removes memory. There's a whole laundry list of things that go into it. So yeah, Mustang. I don't know. I'm not a Ford guy, so I didn't mind.
I don't know. Like with the wrestling, it just seemed too obvious. I don't really like that game. And it's already an uphill battle against people who are like, you just change a couple things and you call it a new game. Like that would have been hitting too close to home. So I just wanted something totally different.
Well, it also had space for the different belts that Matt's won, right?
Yeah, and all the little toys and stuff that I wanted. Like I wanted a little ladder. I wanted every aspect of his career represented, and his what do you call it? Andre the Giant trophy and things like that. So we did need space. So that little upper playfield really would have done nothing for me.
Yeah. Well, and if I remember correctly, you were having a game made for yourself, right, Reby? Did that ever come to fruition?
No, what I was doing, and this was just kind of like another side quest of the side quest, is I had taken a Stern Playboy. Was it a Stern?
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah,
and
it is.
I was retheming it myself to be all of my Playboy stuff. It was just a vanity project. So I was just switching out all the pop-ups in the magazines and all the curtains that open and stuff to my actual Playboy pictures.
Gotcha.
And then I was going to get started on the translate and the playfield, but me and Brian ended up working a lot more together on like commission projects. So that never came to be. So half of that Playboy is my stuff from Playboy. And the rest is just like stock game.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, I didn't know if that was one that you were trying to do more like the Hardy's Expedition for Gold or something.
No. That was just me being dumb, honestly.
Hey, you got to get your hands dirty somewhere, right?
Yeah.
So, what's been your favorite one so far? I mean, you've made 4 together so far. Which one was just like? Are they just getting better and better, or is there one that spoke to you more than the others?
For me, I think it was Happy Gilmore. Not because I had any like specific affinity for the theme, but just the little mods and all the crazy ideas that I had with it. I don't know. It just seemed like a fun, no pun intended, like happy game to play. Like cool subject matter, pretty chill, bright and colorful. I do like that, and I was able to go really bright with that one. Especially the green cabinet and the rails and stuff. So that's my personal favorite. Probably
love the subway,
like
the subway launcher too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, that is all Brian. I would have never done that. I told him that was very phallic. I did not like that at all.
She did play it a lot, though. I thought that was funny, but no.
I did not like that one. But yeah, no, I liked it. But that being said, I feel like the Hangover is a more polished game overall, and it does have like more interactive things and additions to it and more customizations than all the other ones. So as a whole, as a game, that's probably the quote unquote best one. But my favorite is probably Happy Gilmore.
Which one had the biggest challenge, the unanticipated challenge to overcome?
Matt Hardy's, because it was the first one. Honestly, because I honestly
didn't he win a belt? He won another one actually when you were doing it, right?
Yes, mid design, and I had to change the color of one of the belts on the translate because I was like, God damn! Like I was trying to incorporate every single title that he's won. That's the point of the game, and like right at the end, he goes and he wins another title. I was like, mother frick! So yeah.
But what made it so difficult, Brian? What made Hardy's Expedition?
Well, it was really just the software part, editing all that. Like I knew nothing. Like I said, changing the artwork on the cabinet or the playfield, the translate, to me, all that stuff was, I've done it so many times. Like that stuff was no big deal. It was trying to understand, how the software worked that I was going to use to change the actual code in the game. She was very helpful, picking out all the titles and the music. Like I mean, obviously, like I know about wrestling, but I didn't know everything about him. So from that standpoint, she was, very involved, and we could choose. I'd say like, oh, look, we need, these titles for the main part, and then you got the mini wizard mode and the wizard mode. But it was, trying to figure out how to, do the animation stuff. And yeah, it was really just the whole code thing. After we did that one, which she kind of brings up early on in this call, we got a lot of, I don't know, I don't know if to say negative feedback, I guess, oh, they're always using Mustang. Well, if you knew how many hours I spent painstakingly re-engineering, where everything goes, you know what I mean? Like I wanted to get some mileage, use it again and make it better. So by the time, Ferris was better, I think, than Matt's. I think Happy Gilmore was better than that.
Yeah.
And she drew the line. She said she wasn't going to work with me again if I used Mustang. So I had to come up with something different for the Hangover. But everything that we did on the first 3 games, I think that's why I think overall Hangover is the most polished out of all of them.
Well, I like that you're taking games that aren't necessarily like critically acclaimed Sterns.
Yeah.
And I mean,
you're
I
giving
think
them
you're
life.
almost
You're giving
yeah,
them
you're
life.
giving them
Yeah.
life. You're like raising the bar for these games because seriously, to see a Mustang rethemed as Ferris Bueller or whatever, I actually want to play it now. Like I'm not a Ford guy either, so it's not like I don't get excited when I walk into a room with a Mustang. Don't get me wrong, it's an enjoyable game, but it's just one of those things where it's like there's something else I could be playing.
Yeah, and it's the call outs. Like I said earlier, I was talking about what people like about things. It's the call outs and the music that I think really get everybody into it. Because the first time she came up to the Pintastic show and we brought Ferris Bueller, I mean, there was quite a few people, right? I mean, and she live streamed, I think one day.
At all times,
like,
it's open like 24 hours. There's people at 3:00 in the morning playing it with a line. I mean, I've never seen anything like that. It was unbelievable.
So just everybody knowing the lines from the movie and catchy songs and stuff, and it carried over again with Happy Gilmore and then Hangover. So I think that kind of took a kind of a crappy game, and I think made it a little more exciting to play.
So is there a short list that you have now of games that you're gonna use as donors that you'd be willing to share?
No.
Trade secret.
I get you. I'm digging way too deep. I got to keep it.
Yeah, we're gonna cut this off. We're gonna cut this off if you keep
it's over. It's over.
On your door, bro.
Yeah. Okay. However, we work with designers and we've talked to them before. A lot of times they don't have one project going. They usually have a few that are cooking. Do you have things that are in the pipeline that you are working on?
I have at all times. I have multiple games. I mean, I have 4 games right now that I'm at different phases on, but they're all for clients. There's nothing I'll say for next year's Pintastic as of today. I mean, I'll just say that Reby and I have already talked about, she's pushing me. The only thing I will say is that, she's been pushing me for a couple of years about a newer style Stern with an LCD screen.
Let's go.
Yeah, that'd be amazing.
See, for her, it's easy.
Yeah,
she says, her. "Oh, let's go." It's not that easy. So I figured out
kicking your ass the whole time, then none of it would happen. Period. See how that works? So
she just yells at me all the time. And so sometimes I need to go away for a couple of weeks and think about it. So like I solved one of the problems. I haven't told her yet. She's going to find out now. I'm partially solved one of the other problems that I'm having. So I'm edging closer, but I can't commit to anything yet. I'm so overwhelmed with the other work that I'm doing that I have to get these other clients, their projects done. But when I need a break, sometimes I pick away at stuff like our next big one.
So in the interview you did with Kineticus, you did talk about you have call outs coming out for a new game for the creators of South Park.
Oh, that's where that came from. I was wondering where you. Yeah. So the only thing I can say on that, I really thought it was going to be out by now. I can't, I'm under NDA, so I would have guessed.
No worries. We don't want to get you in trouble. We don't want knocks on your door.
No,
Right.
I know. I really thought stuff would have been out in like January or February at the latest, and now I'm in May. And so yeah, so I did. It's one game, but I made 5 of these games for them. I think it's pretty it's pretty impressive. I think when you see it in person. The other thing I can say is, I guess in this case, I started with I'll just say it's like Pabst and Wonelli. So they needed a vintage style game, but for where it's going, they needed something that was gonna get a lot of plays. So I kind of, the stuff that I've learned from the last big 4 that her and I have worked on together, these run on a spike system. So yeah, I guess I can just say that it looks vintage, but it's a modern style game, on the insides, but it's pretty freaking cool. It took me a little while to get into it because I didn't understand the stuff that they were doing, but it was cool. I worked with their design team, graphic design team, and their audio team on it. So yeah, it came out pretty darn cool.
So one question. Oh, go ahead, Scott.
I'm just actually surprised that there hasn't been a new South Park manufactured game, considering how old that was and how many seasons they've had since then. That I would be excited to see a new South Park game, because there's just so much more that they could put in there.
Yeah, this one, it's I'll just say it's from the creators of South Park. So it's those 2 main guys, but it's not actually South Park. That's the only thing I can say, I guess.
Bring on the basketball.
Oh, see, I was thinking it's Book of Mormon, so
I can't.
They did the Book of Mormon musical.
But, I did talk to those guys about that, just in general, about things that they did. I had no idea they did that. Yeah, they've been involved in a lot of different things.
They've been they've been really busy. Absolutely, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so it's something cool that they're doing, and yeah, I can't wait to see it. I look every day on Instagram, like, did they tag me or did they post it yet? But nothing yet.
So one question I have swimming around my mind, and I don't know if you can talk to this because it might involve NDAs or whatever, but have you had a pinball company approach you guys about contracting out and building these games, or is there too many hurdles and loopholes with that?
Yeah, I keep hoping, like when her and I did Ferris Bueller, that was the one I really thought, we were going to get some attention. I mean, because people like seem to go crazy over it at Pintastic. And I was like, oh, maybe. And then we did Happy Gilmore, and that one was like, that was a rock star even compared to Ferris Bueller. I mean, it really was at the show. And her and I sat with what's his name, Jack Guarini from Jersey Jack. We had like an autograph session, and he stayed for like an hour and just talked to us about like the pinball business. It was like the nicest. I thought it was like the nicest thing ever. He's such a nice guy. He's kind of giving us advice about different things. And then he came down, he played the game with us, and then she filmed for a video. She might be able to talk about it. I'm not sure if she can or not, but with his Elton John. So it's like, we seem like we get a lot of interest, but I don't know. Maybe it's because they're, they don't want to make a Sam style game, or maybe there's licensing. I don't know, but I don't really know. I don't really understand everything that goes into that, but I would have hoped, something like that would happen. I think that would be our ultimate goal.
There is an interest in retro style games. I mean, you look at Pulp Fiction, and Pulp Fiction actually does very well on location. So it's I wouldn't be surprised if they start dipping their toes into that. Right now DMD is kind of that semi-vintage. It's not quite old enough, but it's it's kind of like when I was growing up, you saw someone with an 8-track and you're like, hey, what's that? So
yeah, no, I can see that.
So I don't know if I dare ask this question, but I'm going to ask it anyway. At Reby, last week you posted a video about some of the haters. I want you to explain, because it was like 20 seconds long.
Baby. I'm sorry.
No, you're good. No, seriously, like you guys put a lot of work into these games, and there should be I think you should respond at least and say, hey, like this is kind of ridiculous in my opinion. Because like seriously, you guys are doing so much for these homebrews. And like you said earlier, like some homebrews are just like the code's there and stuff, but they're not putting the attention to detail with the white wood and stuff like that. It's markers on the wood. I just didn't know if there was something you wanted to address to that.
Nobody is doing it the way we are in terms of building fully fledged, top to bottom, completely customizable, customized machines, aesthetically pleasing. If you look at it, you wouldn't automatically say, oh yeah, somebody made that in their basement. Oh yeah, that's a homebrew. And for people who have no idea what actually goes into the process of it, we've just been talking about it for the last 40 minutes and we haven't even scratched the surface of it. To say, oh yeah, I could slap another sticker over a playfield and I could make a homebrew too. I mean, so then do it. Literally, then do it. And you'll very quickly see that it's not that easy. It takes a lot of foresight, a lot of like artistic direction that you have to have. Like me and Brian do the job of, I feel like, an entire team of like normally 10 people, a whole production line. It's just us. So it's really frustrating when people think that it's just very surface level modifications. I mean, like when I say that people cannot identify donor games when we're at shows, I mean, it is not just me blowing smoke up our own asses. It is like truly a labor of love, and you can tell in the finished product. And no, I don't think anybody could do it like we could. And for those that say, oh, no big deal, it's just a retheme, try your hand at it, honestly. And you'd probably give up in the first week or so.
Yeah.
It's very annoying. And I think part of that also goes into like the fact that I'm not like a traditional pinball presenting person, you know what I mean? So that's even more of a reason for people to kind of diminish the work that I do and my involvement in the projects. But it really is a ton of work. And if you don't think it is, then let's see your builds and let's compare. Let's let you whip yours out and I'll whip mine out and we can have a contest.
Love it.
I told you, don't get her fired up.
And I love it. Come on.
And she restrained, trust me.
Yeah. It's okay. We got the measuring tape idea. Yeah.
When you have a WWE/TNA wrestler on your podcast, they can throw down. So you at least got to let them do their thing.
I was expecting the flash bombs and the smoke grenades and the laser light entrance. Yeah.
But there is some truth to it. And it's refreshing to have people like Reby in the community and in this industry, because it, like Brian said multiple times, it's attacked from different angles. And if we have that perspective we can push different boundaries, right? And so it's awesome.
For sure.
So,
where can they play the games? Like where are you going to be next that someone can come and play the game?
Usually just in my basement.
Okay, and your address is?
We're going to be everywhere this year, whether he likes it or not. I'm going to drag him out of his comfort zone. I'm going to drag him out to the shows, and you're going to be able to play everywhere. And if you have any doubts on the quality or the skill of the craftsmen, then you can come and you can see for yourself.
Really, honestly, I think it should be you guys and the Saw team next to each other going head to head.
Because really,
I think that you two are the only ones.
Nice.
Yeah, you two are the only two that are.
Yeah.
Yeah. And don't get me wrong, we have plenty of friends in the homebrew in homebrew, and they're doing fantastic things. But like, you guys seriously you've got like a off the line quality machine that you could confuse someone with. Like, did a pinball company really make this? Like, is this being produced? Where can I buy one? Whereas where some of the other homebrews, you definitely know like it's a project. So yeah, I think we should, if you're willing to come to Expo, we should set it up with Rob Burke and do like a head to head.
Let's go.
His is really nice. Look, I'm gonna admit, from the engineering standpoint, I love his game. It's really awesome. You know, I don't know. I think is his game though all new code though?
I think it is. I think there's even custom animation. They might actually have an LCD in theirs as well.
Yeah, but I mean, but does he use like fast pinball though or something?
Yeah. Yep, they do.
Yeah, see, that's the thing. So like, and I can really appreciate all of his work because like that's the next thing that I want to be able to do. Like I think I'm really good at modifying like what people don't understand when they see our game. It's like, no, open it up. This whole thing is just like it came out of Stern.
Yeah.
It's not there's not an extra system, there's not anything else. So that's one thing I think it's hard to compare. Like, I mean, I have my limitations. I'm a mechanical engineer. I'm not a electrical engineer. I'm not a software engineer. So I'm modifying what is right there. Where I think someone that knows how to do, you know, fast, I don't want to say it's not really apples to apples, kind of apples to oranges, really. You know what I mean? If you have a whole different system, but so I kind of hate, you know, when they do the Twippies and all stuff and they compare them. I mean, it's just different, but I absolutely love the look of that game. I love all the mechs on it. Yeah, they do a fabulous job.
Yeah.
I will say I'm totally impressed that you are able to code at all, because my major was mechanical engineering. So that was my major. And I took one computer class and I knew this was not my wheelhouse. I was not any good at it. I had no idea what I was doing. And so the fact that you're actually programming this blows me away, because it's if anybody does mechanical engineering, you know how to make things move and in stress points, and being able to do that kind of stuff. Being able to do coding is a completely different skill set.
Well, I'm going to stop you there though, because I know like my coder friends from up here in Massachusetts. I had a discussion with do you know Lynn? He does a lot of the custom like Haunted Cruise and Frozen and his games. Mm-hmm. So yeah, he lives like 15-20 minutes away, and I asked him at Pintastic this year, you know, what I should call it, because I think I do a disservice to the software guys. I call it coding. It's not. I wish I remembered the word now he used. It's not really coding, but it's because I use a different software that looks at the code, and I work in that software package to make my changes. So there's some terminology that real, you know, software people would use to say what I do. So I just want to make sure that I don't want people to think that I'm actually coding.
Okay, but I don't
software in the software. You know what I mean? Like I just don't want to.
Well, you're modifying the code, which is still a flex. So
right,
yeah.
So by me saying that you are incorporating new code into the system, however that is done, that is still an impressive feat, and I don't want you to downplay your involvement in it, because that's a skill set I don't have even on that level.
Yeah. No, thanks. Yeah, and again, as a mechanical guy, I totally understand. I mean, I freaked out. I went to Northeastern University. I remember taking my first coding class, and I was like, "Oh my God, this is terrible." But yeah, but this stuff that I use, it's you know, like pinball browser software. That's how I edit it, and so it's still it's a boatload of work. But yeah, it's not like a true code like people do in Fast or whatever.
Gotcha. Well, you're still making magic. I said,
I'm so happy with it. It's just
you both are magicians to me, because I don't understand how it works, and you're just like, bam, there's a machine. So
yeah.
If we made one, it would be like the sticker books that you got in like 7th grade, and like put Luke Skywalker somewhere, and that'd be pretty much it.
Don't joke about that, because I saw someone take a Funhouse and they literally just printed off stickers of Fortnite and then just slapped it all over the playfield, and they're like, "It's Fortnite." I'm like, "Oh."
Honestly, that's what I think some people think. That's why I'm like, you need to just see it. If you don't get it, you need to just see it so that you can get it.
Yep.
Yeah. Definitely. So it's definitely it's tough when we hear that, and you know, I think I keep it in, and I get upset when I read about that. You know, I used to see it on, years ago. I saw it back in, if you guys were around long enough, on the Google Rec groups.
Yeah.
I don't know if you were part of that years ago, but I think some of my first ones I did, and people were commenting there, and then then you get some stuff on Pinside, and then lately it's been like on in Facebook and different groups, people will say things, and it's hard sometimes to turn to to turn away from it. I started engaging at one point, and I'm like, I can't. I mean, because like she said, until people really try to do it, I don't think they understand what's involved. It's not just a new sticker or a new paint on a game. So,
well, let's be honest too. It's a flex, right? Like when you watch professional sports and they're so good at their job, you think, oh, I could do that because they're so good. They make it look easy. You guys are doing so good. You're making it look easy. So people are just like, I could do that. And it's not till like, wasn't there a heckler at a women's tennis tournament where the women ended up pulling him out of the crowd? They made him put the skirt on, and then they wailed on him. And he's like, yeah, I'm not ever doing that ever again.
Yeah.
If anybody knows or has tried to do any of these projects, they know how crazy difficult they are. And so the fact that someone is willing to throw lightning your way, even though they've never tried to do it, it just shows their complete, utter incomprehension of what you guys are actually accomplishing, because they've never tried to do it themselves.
Yeah.
Well, is there anything else is there something we missed? I mean, you guys, like you said, we barely scratched the surface. Is there something that you just feel like we should talk about this before we wrap it up?
I don't know. I mean, well, so I guess the only I can say, I mean, everybody sees we've done, I call these major games when I do stuff like this, but I think her and we've done maybe 7 or 8 altogether, but the other ones are more like, corporate themed games. We actually have one, people can play, although she's going to hate the artwork on it. It wasn't as good as what she did initially. It's at the LaGuardia Airport in New York.
Yeah.
You remember that? We did that for American Express or JP Chase Morgan in the Sapphire Lounge. So they did a retro lounge, and they said, do you know anybody from that area? Someone that could do graphic design. I said, yeah, I got a woman I work with, grew up in that part of New York. So, she did an incredible artwork package, and then they pulled the rug out from under us, right? And then
totally changed the theme, yeah, but it's still cool and it's there.
Yeah. It's still cool. It's a cool game, but it's a retro. I'm just thinking of something that's in the wild that we've worked on. It's in the lounge there.
That's cool.
That's way cool. I didn't know that even existed. So next time in New York, you got to stop by the LaGuardia. What you said, the Chase Morgan?
I think it's the JP Chase
Lounge.
Sapphire Lounge or something.
Yeah,
I think you have to have the credit card or something to get in.
Too is coming out on Netflix too, so you might want to keep an eye out for any possible cross promotion there. That's all I'll say.
Wait, what did you say? I missed it.
I'm gonna have to text you.
You'll have to let us know when it drops so we can promote it as well.
Yes, hell yeah.
That is awesome. Well, cool. We really appreciate, I know you both are very busy. We really appreciate, we've been trying to work this out for about a month now. And then, everyone else decided to release their games. It's just been April and it's been chaos, just absolute chaos.
Crazy.
But I really appreciate both of your guys' time and coming on the show. Scott, you got any questions before we head off?
I just want to let them know that we always try to hook guests up with merch. So we have hats, shirts, shoes. We'll definitely reach out to you and we'll figure out what we can get you. So we appreciate you for coming on the show.
Yeah, definitely.
Great. Thank you.
Definitely. If you want someone to get a hold of you, how do they get a hold of you, Brian and Reby?
So for me, my website is custompinballmachines.com. And on Instagram, it's at Game Room Pinball.
Awesome.
And
Reby, if you
just
go to my website, it's rebyhardy.com, and all my links are there.
Perfect. And if you want to get a hold of us, we are loserkidpinballpodcast at gmail.com. We're on all the socials at loserkidpinball. Check us out on YouTube. Hit us, like, subscribe, all that jazz, yada, yada. If you want some swag, like Scott's been talking about, I've got my 8-bit Loser Kid shirt on. He's got the hat on. Nice. Silverballswag.com/loserkid.
I just followed you guys.
Yes.
Hold on.
Nice.
Silver Ball swag. Did you
Yes.
have? Was it you guys that just did those new sneakers?
Yeah, that's
Yep,
us.
our losers. Yes.
Oh yeah. Don't.
Yes.
All right. Don't say anything to Reby.
Oh my
Don't tell
God.
her. I'll talk to you afterwards then. I thought I
Okay.
saw it.
That is funny.
So, yeah, Scott, give us our last words.
You know what? Definitely go to one of these shows and definitely check out all of their games, especially their latest one, The Hangover. I can't wait to try it.